Criterion just acquired several Toho Tokusatsu classics. Specifically, they acquired the Mysterians, Varan the Unbelievable, Atragon, Matango, Dogora, Frankenstein Conquers the World, and Space Amoeba. Holy crap, this is huge. This is huge. As of now, they are only available if you subscribe to the Criterion Channel, similar to Rodan and War of the Gargantuas. Now, these releases appear to be similar to the other Showa-era Godzilla films, where Toho essentially gave them what they had and Criterion had to take it. These aren't giant restorations of the films, but still, having them available in decent quality when most of these have been long since out of print here in the United States is just amazing. I never thought the day would actually come where I could see so many of these classic movies just so readily available over here. I mean, all of the Showa Godzilla films, with the exception of King Kong vs. Godzilla, are now up on YouTube for free, 100% legally. That's fucking awesome. And I already know, unfortunately, that a lot of people are already bitching on Toho Kingdom and bitching on all these Godzilla forums about the quality of the 7 films that have just been released on Criterion Channel. I just want to say to those people that they should just revel in the fact that these films are now so readily available when before it was almost impossible to get them over here. They should just revel in that, and they need to thank Criterion for that. Now, it almost looks like that they got the roundup of the old Media Blasters Tokyo Shock DVDs, which, you know, granted, I have all of them. I was lucky that I was able to grab most of them before they went out of print, and the ones that were out of print, I was able to get a good deal out of them at G-Fest when I went back in, I think it was 2014 when I went. And those are probably the DVDs that I'm going to stick with, even if Criterion does do a Blu-ray release of these, because, quite frankly, the quality is good enough for me, and plus they have all those really interesting special features on most of them, such as the audio commentaries. You know, I won't get them unless I see something radically superior, and I don't think I'm going to get that. The Blu-ray for Atragon, for example, was astonishing. The Region 2 Blu-ray. If it was a bit washed out, but that was astonishing, so I got my hands on that. It simply looked leaps and bounds better than the Media Blasters DVD that I have. Also, I have the Region 2 Blu-ray for the War of the Gargantuas release, and that looks stunning, and I mean stunning, but Criterion seems to not have that print of the movie, and to be honest, I'm quite shocked at how bad it was. I never thought something could look as bad as the copy of War of the Gargantuas that they have from the Classic Media release, but I stand corrected. It is the one that Criterion has. As far as I know, the prints for the recent films released on the Criterion Channel suffer the same issues that I talked about before, and they aren't full restorations of the films. There are some people that think getting your films released on Criterion is almost better than getting an Academy Award, and let me tell you, in this day and age, yes, that is absolutely correct. They showcase the best of the best. These films, they showcase films that truly impacted cinema in some way, shape, and form, be it an artsy-fartsy film, be it a weird film, be it an experimental film, be it a cult film. When Criterion decides to release something on their channel, those people have proven their track record of understanding what is genuinely good versus trash, and they have decided to put these classic kaiju tokusatsu movies on a pedestal above so many others. In more ways than one, Criterion is correct. To quote one of the digital restorers of Mothra on the original Columbia DVD that was released, they aren't making any more Ishiro Honda films. These flicks are special. Most of the participants on these movies are no longer here anymore. They have since passed away. And seeing their work finally getting the attention it deserves, well, quite frankly, it nearly brings a tear to my eye. David Joshua Hernandez, a former collaborator of mine, we did several podcasts together. He made a video highlighting that this release, and this is actually what brought it to my attention. I've put that video in the description below for you to check out. It's just a short, brief little video. Now, he mentioned something that I also noticed, in that all 7 of these movies were indeed Ishiro Honda movies. There are plenty of other Toho Tokusatsu flicks made out there by other filmmakers, such as Jun Fukuda, yet Criterion chose to gather Ishiro Honda films. The cynical man in me knows it's because his films are the most popular and academically scrutinized. Which is unfortunate, because there are so many other movies out there, such as like a Hammer horror movie, that deserve more attention as well. But David expressed his desire to see an Ishiro Honda definitive works like Criterion has done for other famous directors from around the world. That would be amazing, and I think Criterion certainly would not be opposed to such an idea. But the one giant caveat that stands in the way is Toho itself. It is clear, especially with Criterion's Showa Godzilla release, that Toho pigeonholed Criterion in terms of quality assurance. The painstaking efforts usually taken by Criterion just were not present during the Showa Godzilla release. And while many blamed Criterion for thinking they released this just for money and didn't show these movies the proper respect that they deserve, it is now clear that it was mainly Toho and their copyright obsessions over any and all releases of their films. Look no further than what Toho did to the Tokyo Shock releases of Destroy All Monsters and Godzilla vs. Megalon, or what they did to the special features for the original Godzilla vs. Biollante Blu-rays. Ed Gajutseski's audio commentary remains to be the holy grail of lost audio commentaries, by the way. I do not think Toho will allow Criterion to properly release any Ishiro Honda box set. Plus, they still have a few movies that are missing, such as Half Human and Latitude Zero, and a few others like Battle in Outer Space. And we know that there's no chance that they're ever going to release Half Human, because Toho refuses to let that flawed but decent movie see the light of day. I did an in-depth review of that film, and there is a link to that in the description below. If Criterion does an Ishiro Honda release, it would probably be more in line with their Eclipse series. I'm not even sure if they're still doing the Eclipse series anymore, but I have a few of them. The couple that I have is When Horror Came to Shochiku and the early works of Masaki Kobayashi sets. Now, these are just DVDs. There is little to no special features, and they have not been restored whatsoever. Criterion feels these movies, they are movies that deserve a small release to be seen by audience who otherwise wouldn't have been able to see them. This is the one of When Horror Came to Shochiku. I'm extremely happy to have this because this film not only has the X from Outer Space on it, so I can say I have the Criterion release of the X from Outer Space, but it also has Gok Body Snatcher from Hell on it, and I'm very happy that this movie got to introduce me to forehead vaginas and other space vampires. Because let me tell you, that movie blows my mind. Ironically, what would impress me more than releasing an Ishiro Honda collection of his tokusatsu movies would be to get a hold of his non-kaiju tokusatsu movies. I've only seen a few of them, my favorite one being Farewell Rabal. I thought that one was very good. But I'd love to see movies like The Blue Pearl and Come Marry Me. Hell, we can't forget that Ishiro Honda, when he started working for Toho, he was groomed not to be a science fiction director, but a director of women's films, similar to Mikio Naruse. And that's quite clear where his heart lied. Now that is a set that I'd want to get my hands on. And I say this not because I've grown tired of his science fiction movies, far from it. It's just I already own them multiple times in multiple different media forms, be it digitally, be it on Blu-ray, be it on DVD, hell, even a couple of VHSs I still have. I'm the kind of guy who isn't totally obsessed with things being in HD quality. To me, a DVD still looks just fine on my 4K HDR 50-inch TV, and the sound is still pretty fine on my 5.1 surround sound system. I don't want to drop another $50 to $100 on a set where it'll probably not look too much better and there won't be that much for special features on it that I haven't either already seen or won't add to anything I don't know before. That being said, I adore how Criterion has set up their Criterion channels similar to Netflix, which to me makes more sense. Physical media will never truly die, and I hope it never truly dies. But this is how I will consume these particular releases of these particular movies. Now, I'm really curious if they used the Region 2 prints of these films, or if Toho just gave Criterion, again, a similar treatment to the Eclipse series. They look fine, but nothing special, and that's perfectly okay. Despite everything that I have just said, and expressing some of my reservations, I cannot state it enough how utterly happy I am that these movies, warts and all, have become so widely available, especially Atragon. I'm so happy that that movie's finally getting to see the light of day. I think Atragon is an underrated masterpiece and a clever allegory and parallel to World War II. I've done a podcast about that as well. Matango as well. I'm really happy that that's getting to see the light of day too, because that is an extremely creepy movie. I'd even argue it's as good, if not better, than a lot of the Terrence Fisher Hammer horror films that he was making at around the same time. So make sure if you haven't subscribed to the Criterion Channel, you do as soon as possible, because right now they do have all of Ishiro Honda's Tokusatsu films that they have at their availability ready for you to consume in one long playlist, and it's kind of awesome how they have that laid out, including an interview with filmmaker Alex Cox. He's a kaiju fanboy. Also a spaghetti western fanboy. Just want to throw that out there. Anyways, thank you all for watching. All my social media is in the description below. In the end, this is Adam Noyce of And Productions saying sayonara.